Hello, nutrition lovers, me again. Here is the lecture for chapter 12, which is older adults nutrition. Let's get moving. Share my screen. And let's rock and roll. So this is chapter 12, nutrition through the lifespan, later adulthood. Okay, so what are we going to talk about? We're going to describe the roles that nutrition, physical activity, and lifestyle choices play in longevity. We're going to identify how nutrition contributes to or can prevent the development of age-related problems like vision problems, arthritis, and cognitive issues with the brain. We'll explain why the needs for some nutrients increase or decrease as people age and what are healthy eating patterns. We'll discuss factors that influence food choices for older adults and how to seek assistance if they need it, like shopping for groceries or how to make really healthy meals for one person with not that much money. And why do we still have a problem with hunger in a wealthy country like the United States with resources that are out there, right? Why is it still happening? I don't know. Okay, so our population is aging, not me, everybody else. The majority of the citizens in this country are middle-aged. And the ratio of old people to young people is increasing. So we're living longer. Age 65 is considered the transition point, if you will, between being middle-aged and being old-aged. And the fastest growing age group, guess what? People over 85. The average life expectancy, now this book is from 2020, 79 years. Yes, it is up from 47 years in 1900. It's actually down from 2018 to 2019, but we won't talk about that. We are living longer though, overall, because of advances in medical sciences. Nutrition has gotten a little bit better. There's not a lack of food in this country. And the more we, move further with our medical research, genetic technologies, we can maybe even live longer. And older folks are a very diverse group of people. And it's sometimes a little hard to attribute their health problems to specific causes. So there are lots of variables in why older folks have health problems. So there's the percentage of the population over the years. In 1940, only 6.8% of the population was over 65. In 1990, went up to 12.7. By 2040, speculation is that 21% of the population will reach 65. And by 2090, is that even a year? 1 out of 4 Americans will be over 65. Crazy talk. So why and how do we age? To what extent is aging inevitable? I mean, it is inevitable, but can we slow it down based on lifestyle and environment? And what kind of role does nutrition play? And can a better nutrition slow the aging process? So yes, aging is inevitable. I mean, you either age or the alternative is 6 feet under, right? But we can hopefully slow the process down within natural limits that are set by our heredity. So in other words, genetics does play a huge role, but we can fight our genetics too by adopting more healthy lifestyle habits. And having good nutrition can improve quality of life for everyone, even older folks, make you feel better. So, the Mediterranean diet, more people over the age of 100 in Italy, Greece, Spain, parts of Spain, lots of fish and lots of plants, right? Not being overweight or underweight, regular physical activity, not smoking. Try to avoid alcohol, but if you must, at least in moderation, get some regular sleep and enough sleep. And here's the other thing. There's a man called Erickson who came up with these stages, psychosocial stages of growth. And for adults over 55, it's integrity versus despair. So in other words, over 55, there's got to be a sense of purpose in your life. You have to feel like you're needed and you belong to a community or a group of people. And how do you manage and relieve stress? All these things can contribute to longevity. Physical activity, I can't say enough about it. helps control your weight, flexibility, endurance, balance, overall health, longer life. You feel better, you look better. Aerobic exercises, which are like cardiorespiratory endurance, those kinds of things, running, swimming, bicycling, spin classes, all those things lower your blood cholesterol, your blood pressure, and then resistance or weight training strengthens muscles, and it increases energy expenditure and energy intake. In other words, it helps raise your metabolic rate. And for women that are postmenopausal, it's wonderful for, not getting osteoporosis. You have muscle mass. So here's a little table that gives some exercise guidelines. These are very broad. If anybody that's over the age of 55 should really speak to their physician before they start anything new. Okay, so you can take a look at that table. The benefits of moderate energy restriction, in other words, 80 to 90% of the usual intake, and we're talking about kcalories, right? You can have less body weight, less body fat, you can lower your blood pressure. It's good for your cholesterol, your lipids, triglycerides, insulin responses. And there's a reduction in the oxidative changes that can happen. So people that are taking in foods that are loaded with antioxidants and phytochemicals actually helps the cells that they have, to stay better long. Nutrition alone can't do it. It's got to be in adjunct with other things. But there's a huge role for nutrition. Taking in the right amount of energy, and we say energy, we're talking about kcalories, and getting the essential nutrients to help prevent some diseases that are due to deficiencies in them. Eating a variety of foods. I say that all the time, a little bit of everything, not a lot of sugar, the bad carbs, enough fiber helps to prevent colon cancer. Sodium is the devil. Really, I say a minimum sodium intake, and making sure you're getting potassium, calcium, and the other minerals that you need. And again, calcium helps us with things, diseases, but also osteoporosis, especially for postmenopausal women. Cataracts, that's something that can happen as we get older, and it's a thickening in the lens of the eye. It gets milky or opaque looking, and it can lead to blindness if it's not corrected. Oxidative stress appears to have a role in people developing these things. And they believe also, it's not written in stone yet, but obesity may also play a role in this. Then there's macular degeneration, and that's one of the leading causes of visual loss with older people. Oxidative stress from sunlight, right? Wear your sunglasses. B vitamins, lutein, zeaxanthin, the things that you can get in things like carrots, those kinds of foods also help with prevention. Osteoarthritis, which is also known as arthritis, is just wear and tear on the joints, causes painful joints, swelling in the joints. Obesity, very common, goes hand in hand with arthritis, because if you're carrying around a lot of extra weight, you're putting a strain on your joints. So, weight loss, aerobic activity, and strength training can help increase physical performance, make you feel better, and relieve pain. There's no one diet out there that's universally effective for it. It says here, glucosamine and chondroitin may alleviate pain and increase mobility. There is no actual empirical evidence to support that claim, I will tell you, because I've looked. But if you think it helps, it helps. Then there's rheumatoid arthritis, which is different. That's an autoimmune system problem, and it's where your immune system actually attacks your own joints and bones. There's not a lot nutritionally that you can do with that, regardless of what this PowerPoint says. The aging brain. So when we talk about age, dementia is not a normal part of the aging process. It is not. I like to tell people that, everyone sometimes has a little lapse of memory. Where did I leave my keys? Did I put my phone somewhere? Dementia is another story altogether, but there can also be nutritional related issues that can cause these, what we believe to be age-related physiological problems. So in other words, are you getting enough folate? folic acid, which contributes to neuron development, nervous system development. So these are things that are, we should think about. Alzheimer's disease, most prevalent form of dementia. Dementia is kind of an umbrella term. There are different forms of dementia. There's frontotemporal, Lewy body dementia, vascular dementia, Alzheimer's dementia. But about 5 million people in this country have been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. The symptoms are a gradual loss of memory and reasoning. Eventually, it goes through 3 stages, and the third stage is the loss of the ability to speak, communicate, understand, to eat, walk, and eventually death. And it's a horrible, horrible way to go. There is a genetic link, they believe. Cardiovascular disease risk factors, they believe, but it's not proven yet, may be related to the development of Alzheimer's. Treatment, right now there are a few drugs on the market. Namenda and Aricept are 2 that come to mind. Aricept is donepezil, and Namenda is memantine. And they, if used early on, they make claims that they can slow the progression of the disease. They can't stop it. Nothing can stop the progression right now. So when we look at what needs there are for older adults, there are 2 categories, 51 to 70, and then 71 and older. And it's really hard to kind of, give a cookie cutter kind of an answer for what nutrients are needed, because there are lots of differences between individuals based on heredity, based on diseases, based on medications they may be taking. So, we do our best. This table gives us some physical changes that can take place with aging. They don't have to. These are the things that can affect your nutritional status, though. If you lose your teeth, right? Gum disease, tooth loss, those things can affect your chewing and your swallowing. Strokes can cause dysphagia, which is a swallowing disorder. It becomes difficult to eat. Your intestines can lose strength, and sometimes you can have issues with constipation. Inflammation in the stomach, abdominal bacterial growth, not as much hydrochloric acid is being produced. So your digestion and absorption can be delayed or even impaired. If patients have pain in their abdomen, they might not want to eat. That can reduce their intake. Your hormones, the pancreas doesn't make as much insulin, and the cells become less responsive to insulin, which can cause the glucose metabolism to be abnormal, leading to type 2 diabetes. Sensory organs, so your loss of taste, impaired vision, impaired smell, those things all contribute to your appetite. So if they are diminished, then that can make your appetite kind of diminish, and you can, have issues with not getting enough nutrients. Body composition depends on your body type. For some people, they get frail. So weight loss and decline in lean body mass can lead to lower energy requirements. But again, if you're active and moving around and you have some muscle mass, you can avert this. And sometimes, especially women, I think more so, have problems with increased frequency of urination. So they'll try to drink less, which is not the answer, right? Because you need fluid. So like I said, you don't need as many calories as you get older. There's typically reduced physical activity, other people, not me. Loss of muscle mass, which is called sarcopenia, can be significant for other people. It's important that you maintain some muscle mass, some strength, physical exercise, physical activity. Do it on the front end so you don't have problems on the back end. Older folks that are overweight, they're usually eating what they've always eaten, but they're not moving the way they were moving before. They're retired, they're sitting in front of the TV, so they're not requiring that many calories, but they're still taking in that many. And so that leads to obesity. Protein needs for older folks about the same, lean meats, poultry, fish, eggs, fat-free milk, low-fat milk, fat-free is better, legumes. And if people were underweight, as older adults, they need protein and energy-dense snacks. In other words, scrambled eggs with butter, tuna salad with mayo. So more bang for the buck, right? They should get enough carbs. but the good carbs, the brown carbs, whole grain breads and cereals and pasta and rice, fiber so they don't get constipated, limit fat, try to stay away from trans fat and saturated fat. Dehydration, the thirst reflex is not as strong as it was when folks were young. And so, they call it cups. I will tell you that the average healthy adult needs 2,500 to 3,500 milliliters of water a day, give or take. Sometimes there are deficiencies in vitamin D, get your sunlight. B12 you must have because you need B12 in order for your body to make red blood cells. So we can give you supplements via injection if need be. Folate, and sometimes there are medical conditions that can compromise the folate status. Iron, not getting enough iron or even a low energy intake. So in other words, not getting enough protein enriched foods that can lead to a deficiency. Zinc is a very common low mineral in older folks. If you're deficient in zinc, you can have less of an appetite, and some medications can impair the absorption of zinc. Got to get your calcium for your bones to prevent osteoporosis. Food is still the best source of nutrients, no matter what age you are. You don't want it in a pill. You can take it if you must, but it's better to get it from food. Here is a chart that gives you the nutrient supplements that are needed for older adults, goes through like water, energy, fiber, protein, vitamins, etc. And strategies for older folks as far as eating habits. Some older folks are on medications, over the counter, prescription meds, and most drugs will interact with nutrients. Alcohol is the most common drug that affects nutrition. People are usually malnourished if they drink regularly. When we're thinking about how we eat, menus, you got to take into consideration food preferences, eating patterns, small frequent meals best. What is the patient's living condition, economic status? Do they have any medical conditions that prohibit certain foods? Older folks usually eat at home more so than others. They have to learn to read labels, because there's lots of sodium in prepackaged foods and they're not good for you. People tend to go to the foods that they're familiar with, ethnic foods sometimes, if that's something that you're accustomed to. If people are living alone at an older age, it affects their meal habits and their nutritional status sometimes. Loneliness per se can be directly related rather to nutritional inadequacies. I'm lonely, I don't feel like eating, I'll just go to bed, right? So things that we can do to address these issues with older folks. Risk factors, there's some questions here that you can ask if you know somebody that's older that can help you determine if there's a risk of malnutrition in that person. Can you shop for yourself? Can you cook for yourself? Can you feed yourself? Have you lost or gained like 10 pounds in the last 6 months without trying? Do you eat alone all the time? Do you have enough money? Does it hurt to eat? These are some good questions. Depression, back to that integrity versus despair. At this stage of life, you don't want to be depressed. So if you're depressed, it can affect your appetite. It can affect your motivation to cook or eat. If, family member passes away, a spouse, that can make you feel powerless and also can make you confront your own feelings of mortality. I'll add that too. Go see your mother or your grandma. Okay. Just do it. There are food assistance programs in this country. There's something called the Older Americans Act that gives support services to older adults. So to kind of try to help them stay independent. Meals on Wheels, right? They have a nutrition program also. This explains what the OOAA nutrition program entails. So you can take a look at that. Meals for singles, anybody of any age that's single, that's just cooking for themselves for one person. Sometimes it's a challenge. So, one of the things that I do when I'm here by myself is I'll cook things up and freeze them or refrigerate them. So I've cooked enough for 4 people, but it's only me. So I've got 4 meals, right? There are ways to do that. If there's an issue with money, food insecurity, That is a major problem in this country. It shouldn't be, but it is. There are assistance programs like SNAP and EBT. They help a little, but they're not going to completely prevent issues of hunger in this country, sadly. Believe it or not, most US households are food secure. It's about 87%, but 4.9% have very low food security and 7.4% have low food security. If you do the math and figure there are about 350 million people in the country, that's a lot of people, sadly, right? There are food banks, communities that get together, churches that get together with agencies that can help, soup kitchens to help prepare food or provide groceries for those in need. So, if you have the wherewithal, if you have the time, it's always nice if you can help either by donation of product or donation of time, maybe to help. So, we're all going to get there someday because the alternative, like I said, is not good. So healthy aging, remember, small, frequent meals, eat right, get plenty of exercise, sweat a few times a week. You can do it. Till next time, that is the end of this chapter. And I'll see you guys after spring break. Have fun. Bye.